Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Warner with EntreDot, and welcome to Monday Night Live with EntreDot. Tonight, as I promised earlier today, we're going to talk about ideation. Ideation. Ideation basically is a process. It's a way of figuring out whether or not you have a good idea or not. And we use this in the context of starting businesses. So we want to figure out whether or not your idea for a business has some merit. And all this process is for us in working with entrepreneurs is to help them decide whether or not they're going to go any further with this idea or not. If it looks like a good idea, and I'll explain in a minute what could constitute a good idea, the confidence that the entrepreneur would have that something may come of this is pretty high. If, on the other hand, the answers to the questions that we recommend you ask about your business idea are rather weak, and you're not getting strong validation for it, maybe you should change your mind about your idea or abandon it and go to another. So, with that introduction, let's go into what ideation is about. As I said, we're trying to help an entrepreneur figure it out whether or not they've got a good idea. And we break this down into 5 pretty straightforward questions, but I'll tell you, having gone through hundreds of cases working with people on their idea, it's harder than you think it is. We make them write it down, and we go into the nuances of their answers. So, here are the 5 questions, and I'm going to go through them in detail. But just to introduce this, first is, what is the need or the opportunity or the social cause that is the premise of your business? What is this overpowering need? Once getting that, second question is, and what is your solution to it? What are you going to be offering? Boom, boom. Problem, solution. Pretty simple. Then 3 more questions. Who will buy it? In other words, what the heck is the market for this? Why will you win? Tell us why you think you're going to be at a competitive advantage against others who are trying to solve this very same problem, maybe with a different solution, but they're going after the same problem. And then finally, how do you make money? In the case of nonprofits, how do you achieve your social cause? So those are the 5 questions. And at the end of the week or 2 or 3 that you work on ideation, you'll have a good idea whether or not to go forward any further. Let's go into this a little bit more depth. So back to question 1. What is the need for your business? What need are you trying to fulfill? And you got to talk in needs kind of language. And from the perspective of those individuals or businesses or organizations that have the need. Talk like them. Talk from their perspective. Not something you thought up. We almost don't care what you think. It's a little overstated, but what you should and what we care most about is what is the need of the individuals that are having a need. So how do you know it's a need? Well, you might have asked them, right? That's how you know. You engage with a few people who have the need, and you kind of size it up. And maybe figure out who is most affected by the need of all the kinds of individuals that you've talked to or companies that you've talked about. Kind of narrow it down. What are the indicators of the need? This is the pain points sometimes is used, that term, pain points. What are the indicators that the need is there? Because they're feeling some sort of discomfort in some aspect of their personal lives, in the case of individuals, or in a business organization. Something is not going well. Which measures prove there is a need? So you try to quantify this need as best you can. It's usually dollars and cents or number of people or time wasted or cost reduced or cost increasing, all sorts of things that are going wrong that give you a sense that this need is pretty important. What need are you trying to fulfill? Then you want to spend a little bit more time explaining how big and bad a need is this. Quantitatively, if you can. How do you measure it? Dollars and cents, time, like I said earlier. What is it? And how bad is it? What is it now? Where would the person in need like it to be? So you have a kind of a before and after picture, gives you a sense of what difference you could make, and that difference is the value you bring with a possible solution to this need. So having an understanding of the impact quantitatively is pretty darn important. Then some other related information would be useful. It sets a context. Who or what else is impacted by this need? Sometimes there's an indirect effect on other organizations, other companies, other people, and what has stopped others from addressing it. So think about it. If there's this driving need, why isn't something happening? I always ask that question. Why have we gone so long with this need so evident and so big that somebody hasn't done something about it? Why is that? Ask people that question. What has stopped others from addressing it in the first place? Maybe it's impossible. Maybe it's not as bad a need as people are making it out to be. Maybe there are solutions that people don't know about. So what are these implications on others, and what stopped others from solving this problem before? It's always good to know that. That's a need, like a problem that needs to be solved by individuals or corporations and organizations and nonprofit organizations. But sometimes a need is not a problem. It's an opportunity. It comes out of the world of innovation and invention, technically, or processes. So what is this new opportunity? Who will care about it? Remember, if you're going to be talking to people about an opportunity you see that nobody else sees, you're going to have to meet a lot of people maybe before you discover somebody who really gives a darn about what this opportunity might be. I'm not a big Apple watcher, but I mean, the guy, and I can't remember his name, that invented or designed actually the Apple Watch. How did they figure out that, gee, this is going to sell a lot of Apple Watches when this is made and it looks like this and it does all these wonderful things and taps you on the wrist and all this sort of stuff? Why would people care about that? They must have gone through some sort of study, market study, to figure that out. Because they're not chasing a problem, they're chasing an opportunity to do things in new ways that people had never even thought about. Capabilities that they never dreamed were possible just sitting in a watch on my wrist. So what are they missing without it? and again, it's like, how do I know? I don't know. I don't know what it is and why I want it. An opportunity is a tough one to get across and figure out whether this opportunity is going to make it or not. So these are some of the questions you might ask. Think of some up yourself, but you got to cause people to think and imagine. If I had the Apple Watch or anything else that's a new device or a new process or a new service, that if I had it, my life would be so much better. It would save me money. It'd give me new opportunities. It would cause me to think better. Whatever the heck it is, but it comes out of the world of invention and innovation. Opportunity. It's a bona fide business opportunity. Also, think about the social causes that are so prevalent today, the world of the nonprofits. Those are opportunities as well. And you have to discover, again, by interview, the wants that people have in low-income communities, individuals that haven't had a great opportunity for education, people in families that have been destructive to family relationships, people with disabilities. There are all sorts of social causes that you may have a way of dealing with that's unique. When we get to the solution, we'll talk more about that. But it's an opportunity as well. So opportunities could be social causes as well. So the solution, the second question, how do you solve the problem, or how do you fulfill the need? This is it. How do you fulfill this need? What else has been tried before? You probably ought to know that. Why did they fail? Has anyone actually fulfilled it in any meaningful way already? Are there partial solutions, in other words? You need to know that because you're going to have to be better than them. I'll get to that in a minute. What's lacking in these other solutions? What's better about your approach, and what is different in a positive way about your approach? So you're going to describe your solution, and as you do it, you're going to tick off one by one all of the problem areas that you identified in answering question 1 with your points, features, or capabilities of your solution that address them one by one. Don't miss any. Get them all out there. So now you've got a need identified and a solution for it matched up. You're not talking about solutions to something else where you talked about issues over here. They've got to match up, and it's got to make common sense. It's got to make quantitative sense too. So finally, is your approach practical? In other words, is it potentially too grandiose, just too difficult to implement? There are roadblocks in the way. It could be technological roadblocks. It could be manpower roadblocks, things that would slow you down or maybe cause you to fail, and it's very evident. So there's 6 questions you could ask about your solution. And there are 6 or 16 more you can come up with yourself. The idea is show that your solution in an overwhelming and positive way solves the problem, meets the need. That's it, question 1 and 2. Is your solution innovative? Now, I said this earlier, though, as well. Is your explain the innovativeness of your solution? If it is particularly innovative and unique, and it's technological in nature or biotechnology in nature, that could possibly be patented, you want to know that, and you actually want to portray that as part of your solution. And this is a solution with a high barrier to entry because I have a patent pending on this innovation. That's something certainly in the world of investing in startup businesses. That's a pretty important thing to watch out for. The barrier to entry is rather high when you've got a patent. But what do you see that no one else sees? And what unique connections have you made that shows that this innovation truly is unique and will be effective? So the world of innovation plays here, but in a slightly different way when you describe your solution. Okay, now we've got the first 2 questions answered. What's the need? How are we providing for the need? What is our solution? The third question is, who the heck will buy this? The buyer. So, quite frankly, this is something you're going to have to spend a lot of time on. I'm often asking the question, well, who will buy this? And I am dumbfounded at times that the answer comes up rather weak. Sometimes because, well, the entrepreneur hasn't bothered to talk to a potential buyer yet. Probably the most important thing you got to do if you're considering an idea is talk to a few people you think that want this and would actually buy it. So who is your ideal buyer? You need to know these people just as good as you know your best friend. It's a little overstated, but you got to learn how they do business. How do they buy? Through what channels do they buy? What's their buying process? Where do they buy? Online, through distributors, through dealers. How do they make buying decisions? Do they go through committees? Does one individual or a purchasing department make all the buying decisions? How much might they be willing to pay? You ask questions like that. This is the world of market survey. Even in ideation, you could do a survey of 25 people on SurveyMonkey or Pollfish or one of these other platforms and get a lot of really interesting information about the nature of this buyer. If you don't do this and you go present your business idea to someone and they ask you, well, who will buy it? And you have a weak answer, they're not going to talk to you again about your idea because you haven't done any meaningful homework on the subject yet. This is very, very important. Know your buyer and know your buyer intimately. And you do that by finding out. Get out of your chair, get out from in front of your Apple computer like I've got here, and talk to people that could be your buyers and find out all about them. And once you've done that, guess what? You got the makings of a market. If the number of buyers that you estimate there could be is really, really large, that means you've got a very large opportunity to sell a bunch of your solutions. So that gets to be how big this market is, just by sheer number of kinds of people or kinds of companies that would buy what it is you're going to be selling. And you want to add some context to this whole market ideas. How's this market changed, say, over the last 2 years? Why is such a big deal now? Remember, markets are made up of people or businesses, entities, and they have common behavior, common needs. So you want to find out that there's a lot of these. Now, when you interview them, you're going to find out, well, what do they think is going to change in the next couple of years? What innovations do they see coming along? What new process innovation or manufacturing or distribution? What other players in the industry that could affect this market? And what are they doing and what that effect might be? Is there future growth? That's what you want to see. Is this a growing market, a flattening and or dying market? You want one that's going to take off a little bit. In fact, quite a lot. So what is driving the needs in this market? So you're looking for the initial market trends that are causing these market opportunities to occur. So it's kind of stepping back from it all and say, what's going on here in this market? What are the trends that are driving? Is it technological? Is it sociological? Is it cost? Is it technology? Is it regulatory stuff that's going on? Whatever it is, as you see the market and the patterns you're seeing for purchasing priorities, what caused it in the first place? So how many of these buyers do you think there are? How much do you think they're going to be paying in aggregate on an annual basis for solutions that you offer? And what do you think they're going to pay for it? Pretty simple stuff, hard to figure out. But again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I may say this 2 or 3 more times, so get ready, is that you find this out by talking to the buyer, and a lot of them. Fourth question, how do I win? How do I stack up against the competition? How do I beat them to the punch? What makes your offering unique versus them? Who are your top competitors, direct competitors, not indirect, although they're competitors too, but who are they? Who are you up against? And I always suggest that you do a kind of a side-by-side comparison of what you offer versus what they offer. You offer this and they don't. You offer this and they don't. We don't offer this, but they do, but it's not that important. And on and on and on. 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 features or capabilities that you have that perhaps they don't. So you get into then what is unique about your approach. You have some superior advantage. You must have a superior advantage. If you don't, you may not have that interesting a solution. So what's your competitive advantage? Find out, and also test that in your market survey. The final question, number 5, how do I make money? So what is at this point, in the first stage of entrepreneurship, you're not going to do a financial forecast of something because you don't know enough yet. But you can do over the top of the thumb as to what your revenue model might be. So it's an assumed price and a percentage of a market that you think you can achieve over some period of time. And it could be a big revenue number in 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. What will you charge for your products or services? You can do an over top of the thumb estimate of that in your market survey with your potential buyers. And what will it cost you to deliver it? So the cost of goods sold. If it's a service, it's the cost of people. If it's a thing, it's the cost of manufacturing. If you're palled up with the right people, they can make reasonable estimates of what the costs are going to be. Also the cost of entering the market, marketing and sales costs. What will be your profit margin? Approximately. This is still over the top of the thumb. I mean, if you can actually say there is a really good chance we're going to be profitable because we can sell it for this, it's going to be a 3x multiple on cost of goods sold, and the infrastructure to deliver it is only 15% of revenue. Whew, that leaves a lot of profit. So you can model this by comparing yourself to other companies who have similar product or similar distribution systems, similar manufacturing capabilities, whatever. You want to be able to say to yourself, I think I can get into this business and I'm going to have a positive cash flow very soon. If it's a services business, you're going to be cash flow positive almost immediately, depending on how you collect the money, however. So will you be profitable and cash flow positive and have growing cash? And if you can answer these kinds of questions that give you confidence that this is going to be a great moneymaker for us, you've answered question 5. Okay, so that's it. Then, this is a slide you might have seen before. I presented it probably for the last 15 years or thereabouts. This is a progression of the steps in putting a plan for a business together. And what we've just talked about is the first 2 of the problem we're solving and the solution for it. What follows is what's the market, who are the competitors, how do we stack up, what's the product in detail, what's our marketing plan, what's our sales plan, what's the management team that's going to do all this, how are we going to finance it, how are we, what will the financial forecast look like. So these are the makings of a business plan. So ideation is really getting you started and helping you decide, do I want to go any further than these 5 questions, or should I keep on going and finish the rest of the plan for this business? That's what this is all about. I hope this was helpful. This is a process that we've put in place and have taught to people for at least 10 years when we first introduced the concept of ideation back in 2010. So I hope you got something out of this. If you need help on ideation, if you want to know more about it, I'd be glad to talk to you. Talk to me anytime. I can help you get started. We have a program also that you can go through. Our nonprofit would be glad to guide you through it. So I thank you for your time tonight. I hope this was enjoyable. Again, I'm Bill Warner with EntreDot. Have a great day. We'll publish this tomorrow again, so you'll be able to see it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter as well. Have a great evening. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.